Hello, hope y'all are all doing very good. It's February 15th, and today I'm back. So today I'm going to be talking about many things. I'm going to be talking about, starting off by talking about severe weather. We have a pretty much a potential severe weather outbreak today and tomorrow. Uh, and we're also going to be talking about the winter weather side of things. We're going to be going into detail, looking at like which areas could see uh, pretty decent amount of snow tomorrow. So hope y'all are all doing very well. It's Wednesday. And I want to go in and get started. So right now, storm-wise, we're looking at a little bit of activity across like southern Oklahoma, south of Oklahoma City, Lawton area, and east of Wichita Falls. Nothing here that looks like insanely promising, like just by looking at like structure on radar. But we can see, I mean, definitely some hail with some of these storms. Definitely some smaller hail in some of these pockets here. I also have an ping report right here of hail, of pea-sized hail near Lawton. Uh, but yeah, I mean these have not really up to too much. We can see how these have kind of formed what it looks like on a boundary, and they're just had kind of the appearance of in this area here. They did have the appearance of supercells for a brief second. If we watch that, you can see they have those little. It started off kind of looking like that, but then they kind of just the environment there apparently wasn't good enough. Kind of curious as to what was the big issue with the environment. Uh, and actually, I want to take a look at that. So right now, let's go to where's the mesoanalysis? That's not what I wanted. Maybe this will work. There we go. Okay, yeah. So take a look at the current mesoanalysis. Let's get it on the southern plains here. We can see those storms located right about there. And we take a look at the surface observations in this area. Dew points are pretty meager. We haven't seen a whole lot of moisture climb into these areas here. Also, pretty sharp cutoff. Texarkana dew point is 62, but then up into like Fort, I think it's Fort Smith, we have a dew point of 42. But in this region, I mean, these are moving into some very dry air. It appears, considering we have dews in the 50s. The 50 line kind of stretches like this, and it gets sharply cut off right to the north here. Dews in the 30s across this portion of Oklahoma up here, and then 40s in between. So storms just seem to be kind of running into a dry pocket. I mean, that's not good for like tornadoes at all, or definitely not good for tornadoes. But where we do have a ton of moisture is this area of Louisiana. I mean, most of this, I mean, dew points in the 70s. Some of these areas, not 3. It's also not 5 degrees. I don't know what airport is that. I'm not sure. But also current instability. We have instability, but it also looks like these storms might be getting be completely getting capped pretty much. That could also be an issue. I think that's actually probably a bigger issue than the dew points, because it just seems like they've also became elevated and just really didn't have enough time to do much. But we don't have a lot of capping across the vast majority of this area. We have a lot of instability, plenty of moisture. Of course, that's going to set the stage for severe weather. Right now, we just don't really have like. I'm thinking we just don't have like a good boundary for really set up our severe weather. We don't really have any like mechanism to get anything going, but we will see that later tonight. We'll see this area really light up on radar, light up with warnings and stuff. And yeah, we go ahead and go over to what we're going to be looking at radar wise tonight. So we can see those storms in Oklahoma do get going into like eastern Oklahoma. We can see the HRRR indicates them kind of turning into a line. And by the way, the winter weather side of this we're going to talk about in a second, or not in a second, a couple of minutes. So I would ignore that for now. But we can see, I mean, storms all the way up to Missouri potentially. HRRR doesn't indicate a whole lot throughout tonight, other than where we have our enhancers. We go back to the SPC, or I want to go to just completely go back to here. This is our day 1 convective outlook. We have a large enhanced risk from like the very tip of northern Louisiana up into southwestern Kentucky. Memphis kind of right at, like in the center point of that. 10 sig tornado risk centered a little bit southwest of Memphis, 30 wind and a 15 hail, even a sig threat over in that right along the Texas-Oklahoma border. And we just have some better dynamics for hail over there for sure. But then in this area here, it just looks to be like an HP mess throughout tonight, but that can sometimes be bad. Just a lot of, in our enhancers, just a ton of storms, which may be some supercells. We can see about like 05Z is to be about midnight. We do see some storms that do look supercellular, but I mean, this is just forecasted reflectivity. But if we go to severe weather here. Let's take a look at like surface-based Cape. We don't lack instability throughout tonight. We definitely have plenty. I mean, we keep that instability pretty much all night. Like Memphis, about 1,000 joules of surface-based Cape, and I mean areas west and south. We can see. I mean, still 2,000 by midnight. In areas of Texas, 2,500 in some areas. We can see it does push east though, of course because of the front. But yeah, I didn't actually do this yet. Let me open pivotal weather here so we can take some soundings tonight and kind of look at that tornado threat. Yeah, sorry I didn't do this. I apparently just forgot. So let me go ahead and get this pulled up. Okay, so let's take some soundings. So 05s, this is what we were just looking at before. Take a sounding in this area here. I mean, this does indicate our threat here. We do have a little bit of capping, but with the instability we have and stuff, I do think storms will be able to kind of overgo that, or just kind of beat the cap. I mean, pretty easily. SRH and shear. I mean, we're really. I mean, we're looking at good shear. We take a look at kind of like direction. I mean, the direction we can see very clear. I mean, this definitely looks like a 10 sig tornado sounding, or like a very high end 5 sig. It's pretty good. Over to the west in eastern Oklahoma, where we have that line. The tornado threat's not as good, definitely. I mean, we have a little bit. The HOTA's a little jacked up, but we also have a lot of dry air aloft. It's pretty interesting there, but it would still exist over there. I really just think. I definitely agree with the SPC. I think kind of right around this area here, we're gonna want to watch tonight for tornadoes, and maybe even further north into like Missouri and stuff, depending on how good the environment is. But yeah, we see that shear up there as well. So yeah, it's tonight. Tomorrow we have a large enhanced risk all the way from southern Ohio down to once again like the tip of Louisiana, but this is, I mean, a different tip though, like the eastern tip, I guess. Yeah, and then we have a marginal risk going all the way up to the Great Lakes. I mean, for pretty interesting for this time of year. But we're getting closer to the time of year we actually see that normally. 10 sig tornado threat across Mississippi, Alabama into Louisiana. I'm not surprised at all about that. I think on Monday I said that this would be the area or something like that. I think I circled like Tennessee, a little bit of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama. I think that's what I did at least. I thought the main wind threat would be further north, and I mean SPC extended their 30% winders, but they don't have that a specific area outline. But I do agree with the SPC here as well. Nothing that I really disagree with. 15% hail risk as well. Although I haven't really looked into this today a ton yet. But also something I wanted to pull up to start off by talking about tomorrow. Look at the temperatures. Okay, so we're looking at 12Z tomorrow. The HRRR is pretty far south with this front. I mean, we can see we still have temperatures in, deep where we have all that moisture, Mississippi, Louisiana, eastern Arkansas. Temperatures in the 60s. We have our normal pocket of cold, cooler air in the east, like the southeast, east of the Appalachians that we normally see during this time of year, because that cold air just pushes through. We have cold air damming that ruins every severe weather threat in northeast Georgia. But yeah, we can clearly see our warm front right here. Temperatures are in the 30s though, just in North Illinois. I mean, look at this. I mean, we're below freezing and our marginal risk, and most of Ohio is quite cold in the morning. And temperatures tomorrow they're very warm there for the south. I mean, I definitely think some areas like Montgomery, Alabama could potentially hit 80, or maybe even get into the low 80s. Most areas would be in the 70s. I definitely think some areas in like eastern South Carolina, maybe areas of west, like North Carolina, could have a shot at pushing 80 tomorrow as well. I mean, maybe even all the way up into Virginia. We'll see. But then we have like a weird cold pocket right here. Of just not really cold pocket, but cooler air over in Georgia and western South Carolina. Kind of what we normally see this time of year, though, or actually normally, unless it's summer. From what I've noticed, because I'm gonna go into this real quick. So in the summer, like a lot of times, like Atlanta's cooler, like even Alabama's cooler but then you have this pocket of just very warm air during heat waves. Like, I mean, I think it was happening in June as well. We saw like eastern Georgia was hotter than western Georgia, and so it's kind of the opposite this time of year, because a lot of times you have cold air damming or just more cloud cover across this region for some for some reason. I don't really know what causes it, and then that leads to just a little bit cooler temperatures sometimes. Oh, unless you have like a significant significant cold air damming event where it can be like 70, 73 in Birmingham, and then like well into the 40s in this area. But the warm air makes it all the way up almost to Columbus. I think it depends though. I mean, the HRRR is definitely further south because we can see, I mean, many areas where we have our marginal risk don't even get like out of the 30s tomorrow and get into like the mid 40s, which, I mean, we know that's not good for severe weather. There's a pretty sharp front though too. I mean, take a look at like, it's a good place here. And it's not that actually sharp as I thought, but pretty good. Temperatures do fall pretty quickly behind that. But I want to go over to pivotal weather again and move into the kind of center this in the Ohio Valley here tomorrow. So we could be looking at a squall line. So tomorrow afternoon, as we go throughout tomorrow afternoon, we can be looking at kind of like a squall line type event. Stretching across multiple states. The HRRR once again doesn't indicate much in that northern area there, but either way, we take a look at like just 850 millibar winds and stuff, just a little bit above the surface here. I mean, those winds are going to be pretty strong. I mean, anywhere too along this front, so it's going to continue our gusty wind potential just along the front as well. We take a look at wind gusts, or I actually can't because I don't have Pivotal Weather Plus, so we're going to go over to Weather Bell here, and our wind gust swaths, as we can see tomorrow, are pretty. This is wait, got for the entire thing. We do see some pretty strong winds across many areas. You know, Georgia, many areas gusting into the 35, 40 range. Up across Tennessee and Kentucky, many areas gusting to 40, 45, and then up into this area here, just already gusting up to like 35, 40. So we'll be looking at some pretty strong winds either way along the front. Some pretty gusty winds. So yeah, now back over to pivotal weather, and excuse me, I think I have hiccups, which is not good. We can see that mess tonight into tomorrow, or really tomorrow morning, and that squall line tomorrow afternoon. So up in Kentucky here, we take a sounding. Of course, it's going to be contaminated. I also heard that there's a new model that's coming out to kind of take over the HRRR. I don't know if that's actually true. I saw something about it on Twitter. I don't know if it's true though. But up in this area, I mean, this is a little contaminated, but why is every sounding in this area so contaminated? I don't understand. Okay, we're just going to use this sounding. I mean, we have low instability, but shear and stuff is very supportive. I mean, very supportive of a damaging wind threat with these storms. And I mean, also we definitely have a tornado threat all the way up in that area if we can actually see anything. That's pretty good. And then down into Mississippi, we just go ahead and go all the way down. We can definitely see that 10 sig tornado threat. Plenty of. I mean, the hodograph looks nice. I mean, really, there's no specific area I really want to outline tomorrow, but like everywhere along this front, this is like 3 p.m. tomorrow, I think. Everywhere along this front, pretty much, especially as you get into like the further south areas, has a pretty decent tornado threat. But I mean, there's really no specific area I want to outline because I mean, we just have kind of one boundary. Although in this area down here, we see a little bit more messy stuff according to the HRRR. But definitely looks like we'll just see storms, kind of supercells go off along the line initially, and then those will turn linear pretty quickly or just dissipate. And then we'll see like a kind of a broken line move into Georgia Thursday night. And then weekend as it gets into the Carolinas, with some gusty winds as well. Maybe even a damaging wind threat into like areas of Georgia, maybe western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina. And then that will mainly just turn into a frontal pressure, like a pressure gradient winds on the front. So yeah, that's pretty much a severe weather threat. I mean, nothing too specific that I want to talk about. Tornado threat once again looks pretty good, especially tomorrow across like this area here, and even outside of that, I'd extend that further north as well along the front. So yeah, now talking about winter weather side of things real quick, that's what I want to talk about now. So snowfall, we can see across Kansas tonight. That snow pretty much moves into western Kansas. It's pretty much moving into western Kansas now. And most of northern Kansas does end up seeing some snow throughout the night, even into tomorrow morning. We can see maybe Kansas City gets a little bit on the back end of this, and most of northeast Missouri will see something like north of Kansas City. Uh, Total snowfall in like the Kansas area does look actually pretty good. Could be looking at like a good like 2 to 4 inches, even some pockets of more than 6. Pretty certain there's gonna be a pocket of more than 6 in this area here, maybe 6 to 8 inches, and then like maybe 6, 7 or 8 inches in that area as well. I maybe even up to 10 inches, but normally I just say kind of go lower. But yeah, that's been pretty. Actually, over the past couple of runs, that snow pocket there has been pretty significant, pretty consistent. So I'd say in this area here is a pretty good chance you get like 9 to 10 inches of snow. And I mean temperatures while this is falling are very cold. So as you can see, we're looking at teens. That's kind of leading to those I guess snowfall like the snowfall ratios that we see they're being pretty high. Now a little further, or this is specific for the Kansas City area here. Go to the 23Z run, and a little bit of a frozen precip event. By like midnight tonight, we start to see some sleet, freezing rain come into the Kansas City area. We can see Kansas City right there, and then just a couple of hours. I think. Wait, so this would be 6 right here. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a midnight, 1 a.m. here tonight. We're looking at maybe some snow mixing in, but just a wintry mess for most of Kansas City. And then by like same thing by about like 3 a.m. Just maybe some snow, some freezing rain ongoing still. Maybe a little bit of like a clear pocket until we get to the backside of the low. Start off as freezing rain by about 6, 7 a.m. or maybe some snow, and then maybe get a little bit of snow on the backside. Accumulations with that would probably be very, very little, but it's been pretty consistent with that back end, just being freezing rain and then switching over to snow for a brief little bit. So that's Kansas City. That's also Kansas City there. And this is Iowa. This is the next area I want to talk about. So we see that snow come in later tonight into tomorrow morning. Heavy snow, even in northern Missouri, southern Iowa. We'll be picking up some pretty decent accumulations. Doesn't go out completely far enough, but by tomorrow afternoon, this would be 10 a.m. We're still looking at pockets of moderate to heavy snow, especially where like in western Illinois, or like right on the Iowa-Illinois border. Most of Iowa will see snow from this, actually. The only areas of Iowa that might actually change over would be like this area here has the chance of like changing over to some brief sleet or freezing rain, but then this area here could potentially just continuously switch back and forth from sleet to freezing rain. We can kind of see how the HRRR indicates that. And that area will start as probably just a area is just going to really be seeing a mess. The 23Z is very consistent as well. No rain though, really, in that area, so just freezing rain, which is pretty much just rain when it's below freezing. But doesn't go out completely far enough. But with the new HRRR, we already have like a swath of like up to 6 inches across some areas of southern Iowa. And go back to the 18Z though, and that'll go out as far as we want. And yeah, we pick up a lot of snow, and we're looking at like 6 to 8 inches across a good portion of southern Iowa, a good couple of inches across like pretty far down in the Missouri, but like the tip of northwestern Missouri picking up a lot of snow as well, maybe like 6 to 8 inches. And that heavy snow, or that big snow pocket continues over in eastern Iowa with like 4 to 6 inches and into Illinois, which we'll look at. Now this is Missouri here, just a look at Missouri. You can see definitely could be looking at a little bit of a freezing, like a little bit of an icing event across that area there, kind of this area in Missouri here. Could be looking at a little bit of an icing event for sure. Nothing down in the St. Louis area though. We're just probably gonna be looking at rain, maybe even some thunderstorms with that severe weather just to the south and east there. Now further north, we're in the Midwest. Now we can see by tomorrow morning that snow is moving through northern Illinois. Some pockets of heavy snow, mainly moderate snow though. Even into Chicago. Chicago could kind of be on this, but very close to the cutoff. If we see a slight shift north, Chicago could be just getting sleet. North of Peoria, we can see. I mean, even with that freezing line, we do start as kind of like freezing rain in Peoria, and then switch over to just rain as we get into tomorrow afternoon, or closer towards tomorrow afternoon. On the 18Z, actually, let's go to the 23Z real quick. Okay, I don't care. But very similar as you can see there. and the entire Midwest. And snow moves in. I mean, most of Michigan could also see a little bit of an icing event. Even the southeastern corner starting off as sleet, starting off as a rain, it's like a mixture of rain and sleet, freezing rain. Then a good portion of central, like northern Michigan, does get snow as well. Total snowfall accumulations in this area. Of course, we had to go to the 18Z again. Okay, because the total snowfall accumulations in this area are definitely not bad, and I think that's pretty much accounts for everything at this point. A good swath of up to about 5-6 inches of snow across northern Illinois. Even Madison, Wisconsin getting in some of this. I do think this has actually shifted a little further south though, since we first started looking at this system. I think Madison used to be in like the core of it, and also down in the like pretty far in the central Michigan. We're seeing some pretty heavy snow, or not heavy snow. We're seeing some pretty high snowfall accumulations as well. I mean, nothing that's like too big for this area, but just several inches of snow in some areas, which is enough to cause some bags. The NH does indicate lake effect snow as well on the backside of this. Should we take a look at the NAM 3 for comparison here? Very similar with that snowfall. A lot more snow in Iowa though. Like look at that, almost a foot in some areas of southern Iowa. Cutoff though, look at that cutoff. Cutoff is so sharp. One county you get like a foot of snow, almost a foot of snow, and then like in the northwestern tip you get like 3 inches. But NAM 3 doesn't seem to indicate as much back end or snowfall like lake effect in the backside, but we'll see. I definitely think the potential for that's there. Or is it even lake effect? I think it's lake effect. Yeah, that's lake effect. Okay. Or it's like a mixture. I can't really tell what this is actually. If this is lake effect, I think it's lake effect, or if it's just okay, that's definitely like lake induced. But some of these snowfall bands that we see are just normal, like back end snowfall. But yes, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I hope y'all have an excellent day tomorrow. I will not have a video out tomorrow just because of other stuff. But I should have a video out Friday. And yeah, goodbye.